A pleasant afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen. I am Makombore alongside my co-host, Miss Kelly.
Yes, it is a pleasant afternoon from us to you. Hey there, loyal listeners. Thank you for tuning in again and welcome back. We've got an exciting episode for you today on the KNM podcast.
Today we'll be looking at networking and relationship building. So, how to build relationships that impact success. We'll be talking about real life examples that can help you. We'll be looking at real life examples that can help you and your career, your goals, and your aspirations, what you can do in regards to networking and relationship building, as well as how you can network effectively, what you can do where you are right now to get the ball rolling and to reach out to those people who matter, who will get you to the next level.
Last time we discussed on financial literacy, and today we are exploring a new topic, like Marco has explained prior, on networking and relationship building. We are really glad you're part of our community, so let's get in and dive in and touch on all the points that matters.
Yes, that's true, Miss Kelly. So going forward, Miss Kelly, what do you understand by the term networking? Like, chichi nombonzi networking, kana chiti networking,
networking. Yeah. So I think networking is building relationships. That is, be it connecting with people, establishing relationships with individuals who maybe share similar interests, goals, or industries as yourself. At the same time, exchanging information, knowledge, experience, and resources with others.
Exactly.
So that's how I would define networking from my end. What do you think networking is, Makombare?
Right. So if you were to ask me, when we're talking about networking, we're talking about a multifaceted system in which people of different aspects vange vari interconnected, vange vari linked. It's something that deals with relationships, more of relationships, making sure that you know the next person who will get you somewhere, or you know the next person who will just put you in a better position. I think that's how I can put networking.
Yeah, that's well put. It's shedding in a new light to me. What do you think are the benefits? Why do you think it's important to network, and why do you think it's important to build relationships aligned to networking?
All right. So from the way I see it, Funky, looking at the world that we live in, the society that we live in, without a strong network, I wouldn't want to say, I think I would confidently say it's impossible to make significant strides if you don't know the right person, or if you don't know the right things to do within that given field. So looking at career growth, job referrals, mentorship, kind of business growth, when it comes to funding, partners, or access to markets, it's influenced by how well networked you are, how strong your relationships are. Because at the end of the day, if you are into farming, you need a network. You need a strong set of people around you who are going to sell, who are going to market, that kind of thing. That's one of the reasons I think networking is quite important.
Yeah, I heard you speak of access, where you sort of like said networking can provide access to maybe new job opportunities, business partnership, or collaborations.
Exactly.
That's a good way to look at it. It also maybe helps increase in visibility for individuals or businesses. So when you go in spaces where there are other people with same mindset alike, same goals, same visions, they will relate to you more than you being in a space where, say you're a business person, you're wearing a suit and you go to a soccer match. It may be hard for you to relate with those people, but if you go to, say, a hotel where people are having seminars related to your field, you can then easily mingle, you can easily maneuver through spaces just by being in the right crowd.
In the right crowd, exactly.
Yes. So it boosts visibility, and also an improved knowledge and skill.
That's
where
true.
it provides access to new insights, skills, and knowledge. You may be a top guru in your industry, but there are other people who've been where you are, who have information to make you better, to make your industry better, to make everything about you better.
Exactly.
So being in those spaces can help you have improved knowledge and skills alike.
Exactly. Nekuti, at the end of the day, like you just mentioned, Miss Kelly, whichever field you may be in, there's someone who has been there before. Kulima professionals akatodarika napo. And for you to get to the next level, you need to know someone. You need a relationship. It built in genuine, and I emphasize the word genuine. We'll touch on this as we go down as we go further into the podcast. But it's something, Chabuti, when it comes to the relationship aspect of the network, it should be genuine. You shouldn't be the type of person who anozongotsvaga kana chi unongotanga kutsvaga vanhu kana paine chiri kudiwa, sort of like the relationship is sort of like transactional.
Right.
Exactly. So since I just touch on to as we go further into the conversation, but like looking at my networks, like how what in terms of benefits, digital some benefits, what like my real life examples. I'm thinking of one with funding. With proper networking, you can easily find someone who can introduce you to my investors, who can introduce you to my donors, people who are willing to fund or invest in whatever business idea that you have. That's one of the major reasons why you should be into networking. Maybe you have an idea that you have been sitting on it for years, you have the plan, but share funding. Push yourself out there. Find the people who are in the field and spread your wings. Talk to them, show them your idea. Like we mentioned by financial literacy, show them that you're willing. You can easily find someone who would be willing to fund, who would be willing to put down some money on your idea.
Right. And also, alike, there is mentorship. You get mentors in people who are aligned to who you are, what you are, and what you want to become. You can be in any space, but you can be held back by various aspects in life. But when you have someone who's leading you by how they are leading their own lives, how they relate with other people, how they talk to other people, how they just portray themselves, it can be a boost for you to be a better person, maybe in a day or two.
That's very, very true. That's very true. Another aspect is also my partnerships. When you're in the business way, wherever you are. So in regards to like partnerships, whichever field that you may be in, it's essential that you have people who you can trust, people who you can build strong collaborations with that arise from the genuine connections we're talking about. These are some of the advantages or the real life examples that come from networking. And like these are some of the pivotal reasons why it is important and it is significant for you to be able to improve this aspect of your skill. It's actually a soft skill, the ability to network and create relationships that are long lasting and that can help you in whatever enterprise you may be. So like Ms. Kelly, takutarisa pakuti how to network. How does one network really effective networking zvinofamba sei?
Looking at it, there are one of two types of networking. There is in-person networking and there is online networking. So when we're talking of in-person networking, we are looking at stuff like attending events, that could be conferences, meetups, networking events. You can where you calculate your goals, skills, and interests. And Just be a person who's approachable.
Very
Be
true.
approachable.
Very true. Very true.
Smile, make eye contact, and be open to conversations. When you go to spaces where you're meeting new people and you want to broaden your space, be approachable. Be approachable. Be open to conversations. You can't be a person who looks grumpy, who looks
Very
sad,
true.
who looks like they're troubled. People are there to network. They're not there to listen to your crybaby stories if you have any. Or to people are
Very
there
true.
to build themselves.
That's
And
true.
also be an active listener. Pay attention to others when they talk. Pay attention to their needs, concerns, and experiences.
Listen, yes, it's one quote I came by recently. Anzi, listen to understand. Don't listen to reply. Usangoteerera kuti uzongokanda reply chete. Listen to understand. It goes a long way and it's very different pane kuti ungonzi wateerera kuti upindure. That's very true.
All right. So to you, Mark, what I would ask is, say you have done all those things, you are approachable, you are a good listener, you attend these events, then you come back home, you have maybe a list of contacts that you maybe have taken from a certain conference that you would have gone to. How then do you keep these relationships alive? How do you build these relationships?
Right. That's a very good question. Listeners, there is a thin line between a genuine networker and someone who's networking for the sake of gain. There's a very thin line that separates the two. And it's very important to understand that you've gone out to these events, like Miss Kelly has mentioned, you've done the work, you took contacts and the likes. The first step is to show that you are genuine. Be genuine. If you're going to reach out to those people online, if there are going to be calls, be genuine, be polite. These are people you're trying to build a relationship with. The same way we find friends, the same way we find romantic partners. Try as much as possible not to portray a fake personality, because the moment you try to portray a fake personality, you will slip, you will lie, and for you to put makeup on that pig at the end of the day, you'll fall apart and you'll be shown to be a joker. So try as much as possible to be genuine. Whenever you reach out with actual reasons for reaching out. Some of these people are very busy individuals and they are not the type of people who you just go like hi and then that's it. Especially on WhatsApp, some people who I know who are either managers, directors, they are very, very, very cross and they do not like that tendency that most of the youth have. Yekuti ukangopinda DM in the inbox, you go like hi and state the reason why you are reaching out. Hi, say this is Makomborero. We met at so and so event. I wanted to know, how do you blah blah blah? Can you help me with blah blah blah? 5 times out of 10, or how can I put it? It's not everyone that you network, that you reach out to, who will give you a positive feedback. That's the first thing we should understand. These people have lives of their own, they have problems of their own, and so on and so forth. You might talk to them at the wrong time and they will find you pestering or something like that. But for every 10 contacts that you get, if one good one replies, you have created a network. That person will remember that you asked the questions that mattered, the important questions. You ask them, how did you start? Like, one of my favorite questions to ask people who are in top places is that, what did you do when you were my age? What is it that you did that got you here at my age? What should I do to get to where you are? You know, that thought-provoking question. Or the typical questions that you get, you know, your business, at the worst point in your business, what were the 3 things that you thought of? What do you think of quitting? Did you think of partnering? What, you know, those thought-provoking questions. Be someone who is able to ask questions that spark the mind. Iva munhu wekuti ukabvunzwa anoona potential mauri kuti I'm not replying to this kid just because they asked. I'm replying to this kid because I want to see the next better version of me. If you are able to do that, if you are able to show your genuine interest for the field and your genuine need to connect to that person, you've moved not only from networking but to relationship building. You now have a relationship with that person. You can reach out to that person. You can talk to that person. You can share with that person. I think that's the first step. The second step is that you should show up consistently. Don't be the on and off person who goes just because you saw their post right kwakati you want to rub shoulders. There's that Miss Kelly's right feeling kuti rub shoulders with the giants, rubbing shoulders with the big boys. You want to be known kuti contacts this yake. Yes, fair and fine, but be consistent. Even when they are not advertising or they are not out in the public, reach out to them. By Easter, happy Easter. If you know that they are a Christian and they are of the Christian faith, happy Easter. You see that it's their birthday, happy birthday. Personalize that message. Show up consistently. Whether it's in the rain, in the mud, at Scooty Pesta, at Scooty be the number one top chart in their WhatsApp. No. But just remind them that you're there. Be consistent, be seen, be heard. And wherever you're seen or heard, show that you're the type of person who they can entertain. Because we're talking about people who are like I mentioned before, very busy individuals. And for a busy individual to take time off their schedules to deal with people, they want to see that you're the type of person who's willing to be taught, who's willing to learn, and who's willing to practice what they are taught. So I think from my point of view, these are two of the most important aspects of being a genuine networker. After the event, you've gone to the events, try to be genuine, try to show up consistently, and give value before asking for anything. Like, try to show that you can add value to whatever they do, their enterprise. If it's sharing something that is meaningful, or if it's offering good advice, or it's suggesting something, don't be the type of person that suggests as really crude or really rude or anything. Suggest really meaningful. Say, I saw good magata so pakati. If it's in farming, nakaona motion system yakaita so. Why did you use that system? Have you ever thought of this other system? That kind of thing, that thought, it sparks their mind and shows that you're the type of person who would be a good investment in terms of their time.
Okay. All right. So to summarize on what you just said, if I was noting well, I heard you said you must be genuine, you must be respectful, you must be consistent, open-minded, and provide value. Each offer or expertise to others, seminars, to these events, to all these places that we want to meet with people of higher ranks than ourselves. We normally take contacts of the people who we then think are above our ranks, because we want to climb the ladder the same way they did, or maybe better. And people who are below our ranks do the same thing alike. To then say, I'm taking Kelly's contacts for these particular reasons, because they know I provide value to them. At the same time, they have to show me that they have something that can also help me, because you can't, it's a matter of interdependence. Like, growing up, I was reading this beautiful book by a certain author where they were talking about independence, dependence, and interdependence. Where they say, growing up as children, we were dependent on our parents for food, for shelter, for clothing. And when we grew older, we were told that being independent is the new beautiful in the world that we are. But also, as we get to learn more, there is this art of interdependence where you can go to Marco for this particular thing, and Marco can come to me for this particular thing.
Exactly.
And we make something beautiful just by being present in each other's lives. So, in as much as I can take a contact of someone, that someone can also benefit from me if I'm able to provide something that's valuable to them.
Exactly.
So there is a beautiful art of interdependence within the relationships that we build in those networking.
Exactly. Because that person they will walk away from whatever conversation yamunoita knowing kuti Kelly kana ndikada chakati. There's a difference between being too transactional and being interdependent ndeyekutoti pane pamwe pekuti hamutombotaure but pamunotaura ipapo it's genuine munobvunzana chichi but they know and they trust kuti whenever I need something I know that if I talk to Kelly will get it done. Kelly is genuine, Kelly is trustworthy, Kelly will get the job done. That kind of thing. It's very, very important because we're dealing with people, not machines. And the way we present ourselves, the way we talk, the way we approach them, it all comes down to the picture that we portray, the picture that we mold. And as a result, it is very, very important when we're trying to portray ourselves and trying to create relationships with these people.
All right.
So yeah, one question that comes to mind when it comes to the issue with networking and how to be a good networker and the likes, like where can people find networking opportunities? Like where do people go? We have a listener out there, they're into whatever field they are in. Where do they get the opportunity to network?
Networking opportunities use social media, online platforms. What the social media platforms do is they know what you look up for on your search bars. So it feeds you exactly what you're looking for. So if you're a person who's interested in sport, you find that sporting events will start popping up on your timelines. So it can be on Facebook, it can be on Instagram, it can be on Twitter, or on LinkedIn, or any other professional forums for professionals. And they're also in-person events where people do industry associations, conferences, meetups, genuinely networking events.
That's true. My business expos, and the likes, business expos. Like Miss Kelly said, in this day and age with the social media that we have, it's just one search away, just one good search away. Whatever field you're in, if you type it into the search bar, you ask next exposition, next meetup, next conference. There are always platforms where you can meet the top and the brightest in that field. And most of the time you get, for events like that, you get people who actually come from outside the country, foreign individuals, foreign dignitaries who actually come for these exhibitions and the likes, who actually have their stand, their business, or so on and so forth. And they're the type of people who give value to such platforms. They give value to such networking events. So with one good search, one good research, I like Miss Kelly said, you can get these events. Just visit one, invest $10, $5 within your budget, because we are trying to be financially literate. Within your budget, get that ticket, visit that place, and find people who are like-minded. Because at the end of the day, in as much as we would like to live in a bubble of our own, it's high time that we burst that bubble and go out there and find people who are like-minded, find people who are thought-provoking, people who push us to ask the questions that matter. Because on our own, trust me, we can't get there. We can't get there on our own. It's a world where we have to be interdependent, like Miss Kelly said.
So in addition to what you just said, Makumbarero, there is also power in referrals. The circle the friends we keep, the family we keep. Sometimes it's just good to ask friends and family for introductions. Your best friend works with the CEO of a prominent company, and you are just keeping quiet when you know you want to talk to that person. Yeah, referrals and also volunteer work. When you don't have the money to go to an event, you don't have resources to fund you to go to particular spaces, and you really want to be there, you can just volunteer to do something so that you can just squeeze yourself in, be a part of it by doing something meaningful, not just always trying to look for money when you know you can't afford for a ticket to get into that event.
True. So, like, Miss Kelly, what we mentioned some of the mistakes that you should avoid when networking, like shouldn't be too transactional. You shouldn't
Uh-huh.
ignore smaller connections. You should be consistent. But like, what are your experience? What are your personal experiences with networking? Can you share your personal wins from networking? Any events you have attended or anything like that?
So, growing up, in school, we used to go to, we used to call them seminars where we are exchanging knowledge with other kids, with other schools, asking questions and getting answers from different minds than the ones that you used to each your school premises on a daily. And these things helped us to think outside of the box. Things that we were taught by our teachers, we got to challenge ourselves when we started hearing different perspectives from other kids from other schools. This is way back when we were back in school, right?
In
That is
school.
high school, primary school, if you did seminars in primary school. And they are things that we know because of our very experiences and experiences of others that tell us how they got through life, if it's life. But
one personal experience I would like to share when it comes to networking would be if I were to count the major one, it's the one that I got at this foundation. It's called Young Founders Foundation. It was one of my first networking events. And one thing I would like to share is that you will feel like a fish out of water. You feel like a fish on dry land. I was scared. I was nervous. I remember, Kelly, I was in communication with you during the entire event, and I remember texting
I
Kelly
remember where you had to walk from
from
Market
Square to
to
4th Street.
Holiday Inn. And
Exactly.
you had to avoid the inner route so that you could use some water because you thought elite people, at least the better ones, use those
Exactly. They
that
used
side of town.
exactly. That was the event. And I remember when I got in there, the first thing that will hit you is imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is when you think, no man, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not meant to be here. What am I doing here? I should be at home. Kumba kwedu ndakagara neteam randoze. When you're in spaces that you're not familiar with, you feel like you're trying to live a lie. So that was the first thing that I was thinking. I was like, oh no, I'm lost. What am I doing and the ancestors will be telling you, hey, Abalungu, what are you doing with these ones now? So just to share, I walked in, I was nervous. I said next to this guy, he's a good guy, Anon's Elton, very, very good guy. He's into real estate development. So, you're sitting there and you're wondering, why am I here? But then I told myself, I remember telling Kelly, if I avoided rain, it was raining that day, if I managed to avoid rain, if I managed to avoid all these inconveniences, and I am here, I should make the best out of the opportunity that I have. I told myself that I'm going to leave the place after talking to 5 people and getting contacts, and I had set some goals for myself. So I'm seated there, the event goes on and on and on, and you start to hear people talking, I'm from Warren Park, and you're like, oh, Warren Park, I'm from Highfields, and you're like, oh, you're from the ghetto too. Then one goes like, I'm from Chitungwiza. I'm like, yeah, right, Chitungwiza. Chitungwiza. If Chitungwiza is here, then Highfield should be here. So, you start to feel a bit comfortable and you start to feel that, no, this is right. Network, what's your name? Never underestimate the power of a good introduction. Be able to introduce yourself clearly, precisely, concise. Don't go like, Ndonzi Marco. Marco, who's Marco? Makomborero chakachakati. I do this. I'm into the field of whatever. I do cattle, goats, sheep management, blah, blah, blah. Try as much as possible to, in fact, if it's possible, do a 30-second intro of yourself. In 30 seconds, describe.
Be memorable, yes.
Exactly. Something that that if you're asked, who are you? You state your name, the important information, your field, your interest, 30 seconds, bam, bam, bam. And you can tell by the reaction, the person who you're talking to, yeah, I've picked this one up. You take the number, you exchange contacts. And I'm glad to say that I walked away from that with a very good memory. I have a very, very, very vivid memory of everything that happened. And I was during the entire conversation that I had, I was just wondering, if I was able to do this, then imagine the spaces that you can push yourself to. Imagine the United Nations meetups, food and agricultural organizations meetups. There are so many spaces that we can push ourselves into that are relevant to our fields, whether you are I'm biased towards, whether in farming, whether in the textiles industry, whether in the music industry, whether in the accounting departments and the likes. There are fields and spaces for you to grow, and it is up to you to push yourself there and utilize the opportunities that you have at hand.
Right. So we have the power to change our narrative. It doesn't matter your background, where you're coming from, who you are today. If you dream to be big and you pray to God about it, He's faithful enough to see it through.
That's very true.
I have my very good uncle that wherever we go, like when we were younger, there are relatives that we meet now that we don't remember because when we met them, we were very much young, right?
Mm-hmm.
This uncle of mine, as soon as he sees me and he sees an older person and we're not talking, he will come and he will say, "Do you remember Kelly?" Mm-hmm. And maybe the older person will say, "Yeah, I remember her. She was little when I met her." And I'll be like, "I have no idea what this is." And he'll say, "This is Kelly now.
Uh-huh.
This is what she does."
Exactly.
She doesn't say Kelly is now 24 years old. She's working at this. He doesn't say that.
He doesn't say that.
He will describe me by my being, what I'm doing now.
Exactly.
Now, when these people go back home, the first thing they're going to remember is Kelly, and this is what she does.
And this is what she does, exactly. Not only do they have a face in mind, but they have a face and the thing that she does in mind. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is up to you and me to push ourselves forward. We have talked about this with Miss Kelly. We have mentioned that if you're going to get there, it's all about being able to push yourself out of your comfort zone, being able to create meaningful networks, being able to create lasting and meaningful relationships. Any closing remarks, Miss Kelly?
So by wrapping up this podcast with these key takeaways, actionable tips and final thoughts, you can reinforce the importance of networking. Stay open-minded, be patient and persistent. Networking is a long-term investment, so focus on building meaningful relationships and reach out to someone new any chance you get.
Exactly. So from us at the K&M podcast, thank you so much for joining us on our episode 2, season 1 of the K&M podcast, which was networking and relationship building. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of our journey. Until next time.